An offseason in which the Eagles perhaps don't trade C.J. Gardner-Johnson, draft a tight end, don't exercise Jordan Davis' fifth-year option compared to the offseason that the Eagles had. We'll look at those two things next on the PHLY Eagles Show. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the PHLY Eagles Show. I'm Zack Baun here with Rich Hofmann, and this is going to be a fun show. We are presented, by the way, by TrueMark Financial Credit Union, and this is going to be a fun show because it's July 1st, right? So this is the time of year when NBA free agents are signing, NHL free agents are signing, NFL free agents aren't signing, but this is training camp month.
Yeah.
And so we can look back to when NFL free agents were signing and try to figure out how the Eagles offseason went compared to maybe how we thought it was going to be. You know, I believe a lot in accountability. Back in March, I posted a 25-step guide for what Howie Roseman would do, should do, could do in free agency. So we'll use that as a vehicle to analyze Howie Roseman's moves. So, Rich, before we get into that, I should ask you, it's not leaking in here. It's leaking over there. It's raining outside. It's cool in here. How you doing?
I think we've lucked out. I think things are falling apart at PHLY headquarters right now. I think we are in the one safe room right now, everybody. So, Zach, I am doing great, and I'd like to tell you, happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day. That is true. Would you want all the money up front, or would you want the money every year?
I'd want the money up front, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
A dollar today is better than a dollar tomorrow, right?
Absolutely. But
although he gets it with interest, correct?
I don't know.
He gets it with interest. So, so it's would you rather it with interest over years, or would you rather it up front? I put you on the spot there. We didn't really prep for Bobby.
I'd still rather have it up front.
Okay, yeah, me too.
But it has kept Bobby Bonilla, in the zeitgeist. People bringing this up every single year. There are no other late 80s, early 90s sluggers that probably get brought up as much as him. I don't know.
I would agree.
Jeff Bagwell getting brought up as I don't know. That's just a random name that came to mind.
Yeah, no, the contract does help him there, and I always associate July 1st. Well, in addition to being Canada Day, right? Happy Canada Day to everybody. Is that July 1st or July 2nd? I believe July 1st.
I actually don't know, Zach. I don't know. So let's look it up.
Canada Day.
July 1st.
Yeah, thank you.
You nailed it.
You're
on top of
I
Canada.
am half Canadian, so I should get that.
What? Wait, you're half Canadian?
Yeah, my mom's from Montreal. Wow. So I'll call my grandmother on the ride home today and say Happy Canada Day. But in addition to Canada,
where from in like Montreal, like around the city of Montreal?
Yeah, right near there. If you're from Saint-Luc is the.
Oh, nice.
I
love this. I went to Montreal last year. It's a very, I think it's a pretty cool city.
It's a great city. Yeah. I don't know Europe that well, but it's like a European city in North America.
Yeah. I definitely think so. How well? I mean, do you have a little French?
J'adore les Français.
Oh,
yes.
Man, look at you.
Je m'appelle Zach. But I associate July 1st, as I said, with free agency, right? And so that's why today's a good day to discuss this. Like when I think July 1st, I'm thinking of Kevin Durant and the Hamptons. I'm thinking of LeBron James's decision.
LeBron James and his what was that, like his office space in Akron or whatever, they rented out some.
What day was July 1st the date of the decision?
No.
Okay,
that decision was. They used to do that later. I mean, NBA free agency used to happen. The most important stuff would happen
mid-July,
July 8th.
Okay,
July 10th, something like that. Yeah. So I think it was a little bit later.
I was covering the Washington Wizards that day.
Were you?
Yeah, I remember that well.
Well, I've enjoyed some of your callbacks to your Washington Post days as well. Like you had the story about the Nationals game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, thank you. Out. Yes, I saw the articles. So we're already off track here, but yes, I saw the article the last time the Nats had the 10-game losing streak. The Washington Post wrote about it, and they're like, as Zack Berman wrote, and I'm like, I remember covering that game. I remember being real excited about the Emilio Bonifacio area, or I butchered the name, Bonifacio area. So I do recall that. But I brought the free agency thing because it's a good time to look back at Howie Roseman's moves. So as I said, we're going to hold ourselves accountable. We all know what happened this offseason. But what we're going to do is what we thought was going to happen, compare it and contrast to what Howie Roseman did. So the article was dated March 3rd, 2025, okay, which is not Canada Day. And I did a 25-step guide for how the Eagles could approach the offseason. The number one move that I said was re-sign Zack Baun.
I think you nailed that one.
And the Eagles, of course, re-signed Zack Baun. Rich, was this a good move? Was this the right move to make?
Yeah, and I mean, I think in reading your excellent piece that you wrote here, and most of this stuff ended up coming true, and then there were some things that Howie differed on. So you'll learn, right, for next year in terms of getting inside Howie's head. But you're absolutely right about this one in terms of, like, this was the guy of their 4 big free agents that they prioritized, which, if you would have told us that a year ago, that they were going to prioritize an inside linebacker over 2 defensive linemen and an offensive lineman. But I think Zack Baun is a special case, and he proved it. It came in a little bit higher than your projected numbers. It was, I think you said 348. It was 351.
A million here, a million there. It starts to add up, right?
With the guarantees as well. But, I think that was right around the number. It was above the, what was it, the Matt Milano number?
Yes.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So, no, I was all in March on, all right, we got to get the AAV. Who were the 3 linebackers? What was it? Warner, Tremaine Edmonds.
Yes.
And there's somebody else.
And Roquan Smith.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, came in, good contract, and this was the guy that they signed, and they did it early, right? They did it right before free agency.
And this would be your priority as well, the re-signs.
It absolutely was. I mean, I think heading in, I didn't know what to expect because, I didn't know, like, was Zack Baun just going to take some massive deal elsewhere? It had to be such a strange free agency for Zack Baun because, here he is signing for, what was it, like $4 million the year before, and he did get an emergency pod because of PHLY. We do emergency pods for a lot of signings, but it was one of the lesser emergency pods.
Well, it happened during the show, the Zack Baun signing.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, or it happened right before the show. So we made our 2:00 show the Zack Baun show. So it was basically an emergency show in the 2:00 slot.
That's how the sausage gets made here. Anyway, Zack Baun was not a big deal, but he becomes a huge...
Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the re-signing. The initial one was
emergency pod. That's
absolutely. You're correct.
So it wasn't a huge deal. Now he gets signed, as Zach pointed out, right around 2 p.m. on a weekday. But I didn't know if he was just going to take the most money or there was going to be a massive market for him because he proved that he is like, a difference-making level of player there. And he's 28 years old as well, too. He's probably not going to get another huge contract. I hope he does because that means this contract will turn out really well for the Eagles. But they did exactly what you said. They prioritized him. They didn't even let him hit the open market, locked him up before. So I think that's exactly what I would have done.
Yeah. Well said. So, by the way, if you want to see this article and all our articles, including, Charlie O'Connor's killing it right now. With the NHL draft coverage. I read a great piece from Kyle Neubeck today. I posted a Jim Salisbury story this morning. You can read all of this on allphly.com. We have the Make Your Move promo going on right now. So make sure you check that out. You can get a good discount and a free T-shirt on our outstanding content on allphly.com. And I should also say you don't need to pay to get the best newsletter in the city. And that's Rich Hofmann's newsletter every single morning. I look forward to it. I was reading this morning how Rich does not care much about A.J. Brown's Morocco trip.
No.
But does care about...
I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
But I don't really care about the details.
But does not care about... But does care about Fran Duffy's quarterback
Absolutely.
Yes.
And which you can also read if you sign up for that diehard deal as well.
There you go.
Pretty good QB class next year, huh?
Very good. I'm a big Lenore Sellers guy.
Yeah.
I'm all in on Lenore Sellers.
Is he kind of is he going to be the more intriguing name just because he's probably not a household name?
Yeah, I mean, he's like South Carolina's I mean, they're a good program, but it's not like Arch Manning, right, at Texas. But he's going to be the guy who, outside of Arch, I think is going to be the best quarterback in this draft.
So, do you think Arch Manning? Because Fran also had. I'll give a little. You have to read Fran's analysis. I can give you some of the top quarterback prospects because hey, you can look that up online anywhere. But to get Fran's analysis about what these guys do well, whether they might even go into the draft, you actually have to sign up for the deal and read the article. What do you make of like the Arch Manning hype is big, like and it's very interesting.
It's legit.
Look,
this guy's awesome.
I've seen a couple of the highlights. Now, normally they were against bad teams, but he's like actually running away from defensive backs, which is pretty wild. I'm very intrigued to see this for a guy who has that type of name and is one of the most hyped players, regardless of whether he's good or not, is also considered to be amazing and also is in the weird situation where he's this amazing player, but he sat for 2 years at a big program. Anyway, I'm very interested to see how that plays out. That's probably obviously look, the Eagles are set. They have a great quarterback room. They have an excellent starting quarterback. They appear to have a very good backup as well. Maybe, some people say the best backup ever.
Some
don't.
Some don't.
Some do, some don't. But I'm very excited to track the Arch era at Texas.
Yeah, I know Tyler's probably excited for next week when college football comes out, the college football video game comes out, and we can play with Arch Manning against Drew Auer, right?
Yeah. I will tell you this. I probably have not turned my PlayStation on in like months at this point.
Fatherhood.
Between that and covering the Phillies, there's really not been a whole lot of time. But yes, I am super excited.
Yes.
I'm actually more excited at this point for college hoops when that game comes back.
That's like, what, 28 now?
Yeah, it's a couple years. But because I already have a college football back in my life, college hoops is like the big one for me now.
There you go.
That was when I was younger, college football, that would come out in like June, I think. Those were the two games I would play, the two football games.
Who did you build?
Which
program did you build?
Oh, a bunch of different ones. My cousin and I would play together, and we'd kind of swap, and we liked building like bad programs into great ones. Or not bad programs, but so SMU was one. They were a little bit down after the old death penalty.
Yes,
brought them back to prominence.
Stop paying their players. And
Yes, exactly. Which you can do now.
Yes.
Idaho.
They were just ahead of their time.
Idaho was a big one. New Mexico
the
State.
Vandals?
I enjoyed the Vandals because you could play inside. The Kibbe Dome was a big spot. Anyway, I always enjoyed playing college football because after a few years, once you got the Vandals to prominence, like you were playing in the Pac-10.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of similar to what it's actually like now.
That's a good point. If you play Madden and you were Howie Roseman in Madden, maybe a move you would have tried to do was call Andrew Berry, which you can't do in Madden, but Browns GM Andrew Berry, for Myles Garrett. That was the number 2 on my list, was keep calling Browns GM Andrew Berry about Myles Garrett. The Browns insist on not trading Garrett. I wrote, Roseman suggested that time is not right for the Eagles to pay a first-round pick and a big contract to a player. But I said this is the type of player that you move mountains to acquire. Myles Garrett was not being traded this offseason. They gave him a record-breaking deal. I understand why. I still think that if Howie could have found a way to land Myles Garrett, this is the type of player he would have wanted to land. But this was probably more wishful thinking than reality, so I can't actually hold this move against Howie.
Well, and the Eagles were linked by a lot of people to, when Myles Garrett was sort of in limbo and he was asking for a trade, and you didn't know what was going to happen in Cleveland, a lot of people were like, the Eagles were at the top of the list, them, Washington. So it made sense for them. I'm not sure it made sense I understand he's that level of player. I think we can debate on whether it made sense for the Eagles. What do you think about this? I know we're getting off topic here, but hey, it's Bobby Bonilla. It's July 1st.
It's true.
I don't think it made as much sense for the Browns. They're a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett is fantastic. I think, like you said, probably the best defensive player in the sport. Agree with all that, but they're not ready to win.
No, but he's the type of player who if you're in rebuilding mode, you try to trade him and get multiple first-round picks. I see what you mean there. It's just he's, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So when you have elite talent, you don't want to give him up, right? I mean, in football, it's not that hard to get good again. I mean, the Browns were in the playoffs, 2 years ago, right? And they had a down year last year, but clearly that's a team that's rebuilding. So they are kind of in between.
That's true.
Yeah. The Browns could probably use Cam Jurgens.
Yes, they could.
But they will not get Cam Jurgens for a while. Number 3 on this list is sign Cam Jurgens to a contract extension. And this was a Howie Roseman move. So I said he should be a 4-year, $65 million deal. He signed 4 years, 68.
Nice.
Once again, I'm $3 million off. I feel as if, Howie's more generous throwing $3 million out than I am, apparently. But no, in all seriousness, is this a move that you're behind?
That was something you and Bo were bringing up back in October, November. Once you saw that Cam Jurgens was in fact a very good center, and I think we all believe that he was going to be very good, but it is crazy to think back to the conversations we were having at this time last year. There was questions about, is this offensive line still elite? And part of it was, okay, Cam Jurgens, he might be good. He might be good in the future, but taking over for Jason Kelce, who, even though he retired, was still playing at a super high level. I know Jason Kelce said that he was losing a few steps. Didn't really look like he was still an extremely effective player. Once Cam Jurgens proved, no, he's a very good player. That is the type of guy that the Eagles have locked up. So you guys were ahead of the curve on that one. It seemed like that was fait accompli.
So then the next one here is watch Milton Williams and Josh Sweat earn big contract elsewhere and collect compensatory picks. So it didn't take a rocket scientist to predict this one. I'm not a rocket scientist, so I was able to predict it. But what were your thoughts on this decision here? And would you have tried to keep Milton or Josh Sweat? Would you have made either one a priority over Zack Baun? Were you okay seeing homegrown pass rushers go out the door?
I mean, it's not, again, the Eagles, it really does go to show that their philosophy has changed recently, in that they sign the linebacker and they let the homegrown pass rushers go. It's very odd. Milton Williams, again, he was a very good player for the Eagles. He was super disruptive in the Super Bowl. Great story, homegrown player. That's a lot of Milton Williams that the Patriots paid for. And for
a lot of them, I haven't heard it framed that way. That is a lot
of Milton Williams. I like Milton Williams, but it's a lot of Milt. So no, I think they made the right choice there in terms of prioritizing the guy that they really couldn't let go, because there's still Jalen Carter here. There's still Nolan Smith here. So I think they did the right thing there.
Yeah.
And Josh Sweat too. I mean, it seems like that's a nice end to Josh Sweat's story in Philadelphia, right? Where he, there was a little bit of friction about the contract and it wasn't always the smoothest ride, but he goes out as, one of the best players in the Super Bowl and gets paid by Arizona.
I give Josh credit, and longtime viewers know I have a soft spot for Josh Sweat. Although he hasn't responded to any of my texts, so I think he's moved on from me. But no, Sweat bet on himself last year, or in the sense he took that restructured deal, went into a contract year, and turned it into a 4-year, $76 million deal. So a good work by Josh Sweat. So the next move here,
that computer feature didn't land a return text from him.
It did. Yeah. I mean, not once he left, right? Once he left, you said, "Hey, congratulations. I enjoyed getting to know you, enjoyed covering you." And it's kind of like when I first tried to meet my wife, right? I was just getting ghosted, right? So,
Well, hopefully, like your wife, Josh Sweat comes back to you.
Yeah, I'm being facetious there, although that did happen. See what Mekhi Becton's market is, but prepare to turn right guard to Tyler Steen with competition. The Eagles did see what Mekhi Becton's market is, though I don't know what their appetite was to bring back Mekhi Becton. Vince, our great GM here, kept thinking they were going to bring back Mekhi. And Mekhi, it was the type of thing where I don't think the Eagles were going to pay 5 offensive linemen that, a double, a $10+ million contracts, right? So they did let him leave, and it does seem as if they're turning the right guard competition over to Tyler Steen. Now, I thought there would be more competition. I thought maybe Kenyon Green would push him a little more, and perhaps that's still to come.
But didn't seem like you got that indication.
Yeah, during the spring, that was not the case. So were you okay with this, or would you want more certainty at right guard?
It's one of those things where I think it's fine. I think Tyler Steen, if he is your weak link on an offensive line with 4 other elite players, I think is perfectly fine. Now, I also think re-signing Mekhi Becton for, I believe it was $10 million. Was that the number it came in at? Right around there. I think that also was perfectly reasonable, and he earned that contract. I think the Chargers are probably going to do pretty well with that deal. It was one of those things where when you mention the entire group, that's where it really hit home. It's like, man, you're really going to pay 5 of these guys 8 figures? And it's like, yeah, no, I think it's okay to let him move.
I'm listening to what you're saying, but as I'm saying, I'm saying, man, who would I be more in trouble with about what I just said? Josh Sweat or my wife? Like, who would be more disappointed in that characterization just now?
I would hope it's not Josh Sweat.
Well, considering Josh Sweat's not answering you, it's probably your wife.
Probably my wife, yeah.
Josh Sweat's not answering you, but he's watching the show every day.
The show right now. July 1st, what are you doing? I'm celebrating Canada Day.
Josh Sweat,
celebrating Bobby Bonilla Day, and I'm watching the PHLY Eagles show.
Josh Sweat's like, oh no, another Rich show. No.
Yes.
In his mansion in Arizona.
Yeah. If you want to know what the Eagles could have done if Zack Baun were to sign elsewhere, and they actually ended up doing it, make sure you stick around after this break. I want to tell everyone about Bet365, okay? Because this is the time of year when maybe you are putting those over-unders in that we spoke about yesterday with Fran. Maybe you're watching a big baseball game tonight and you want to get, good props up on the games. Maybe you are excited for the soccer this weekend. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365, they have breaking news from Bet365 that we should tell you. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, players, props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, Fran, here's an impression of me from yesterday.
Okay.
That's me walking into my house, sweating like a pig because it is feeling like a sauna in there.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. This time of year, this Philly heat, it's no joke.
So, what do I do? Do I go jump in a lake? It's not going to happen. So, I just got a bunch of ice, held it, rubbed it on my face, stuffed it down my shirt, stuffed it down my pants. Only way I could think to cool down.
I mean, stop being the stereotypical dad, though. Turn on the AC. It's time to fire that thing up.
I don't want to be, I want to waste money, be energy efficient.
Well, look, instead of icing yourself out or jumping into a lake, you could just check out Pico's energy-saving rebates. They've got deals on Energy Star cooling equipment that actually work and cut down on your bills.
So, no more ice down my pants?
No, you could skip the ice, save the ice, and you throw in my drinks when I come over.
The same ice?
No, we'll change the ice up.
Okay, fine. That's what's up.
All right, well, just head over to pico.com/ways to save. They've got tips for everything. Heating, cooling, lighting, you name it.
Oh, man. Had to rush back in.
All right, Fran, here's an impression of
Thanks
me
to Bo
from
and
yesterday.
Yeah, Bo is clever.
Thanks to Bo and Fran for coming in and doing it for us.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate
true.
that.
Bo came all the way. I don't know if Bo wants me to tell you where he is right now, but he came down to do that Pico ad for us, and 8.6. I don't know what 8.6 is. It's not.
I'll be honest. I don't know what's happening. This kind of freaked out on me a little bit.
Okay.
Trying to recover this for you. Give me one.
No
second.
problem. We can talk about Canada Day. We can talk about Josh Sweat. We could. Our mics are hot though. I imagine. So we'll just say that.
Oh yeah, you guys are good.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
did.
cool. That's
Yeah.
Audio only podcast.
Audio
for
only.
coming.
Yeah. So first off, we appreciate Pico, and it's always good seeing Fran and Bo on the screen there. So let's jump here to the next one on the list here. And so if I were Howie Roseman, the number 6 move is release Darius Slay with a post June 1st designation. So there we go.
There we go.
Look
We're
at
back.
that. They don't call him Handsome Rich for nothing, right? Post June 1st designation. So the Eagles did this. Did you agree with this move?
I did. Yeah, I mean, I just think that was the right move. The Eagles can get a bit younger at cornerback here. Slay, look, that he is a marvel. I mean, the fact that he still is playing at this level into his mid-30s it's something you never see. But I think it was time to move on for him. I think most people, I think Darius Slay knew heading into this year it was going to be his last year as a Philadelphia Eagle, and he made it count with great play and a Super Bowl championship.
You're absolutely right. And now, by the way, he has a new teammate in that secondary. What'd you think of that move?
So I'm curious because
By the way, it's Jalen Ramsey for those who are not glued to their phone.
You know the league more than I do. So they trade basically Minkah Fitzpatrick for Ramsey, and it's like they already have Joey Porter, who's pretty good. He's a little. Sure. I think he gets away with defensive pass interference a little bit too much. He's a little handsy, but he's a good player.
Yeah, we got a Penn Stater over there.
Yeah,
so.
well, he gets away with too much pass interference. So there's that one. Who else they have there? They have Slay, and now they have Ramsey, and they get rid of Fitzpatrick, who was playing well for them. I think.
Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick was a little bit of a. I think there was some friction in that locker room with Minkah Fitzpatrick last year, from what I understand.
Very weird that they sent him back to Miami.
Yeah. I mean, there's worse places to go from Pittsburgh to Miami.
Okay.
Would you rather Pittsburgh than Miami? Would you rather live in Pittsburgh than Miami?
Would I rather live in Pittsburgh than Miami? Yeah, but I'm weird.
Oh, okay. No state income tax in Miami.
That's true. That's better.
That's like every hockey trade by the
way. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. The Dolphins, fine. You can move the money around in the NFL. Like the Panthers, they're just rigging the system with them and the Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's smart. And the Golden Knights as well. So
CDP also mentioned Jonnu Smith went the other way in that trade as well to Pittsburgh. Feels like
Jonnu Smith, by the way, is from that way.
Okay, where's he from?
Like Mount Airy, that area.
Okay, good point. That's the right direction.
I think North Philly, Mount Airy. Yeah.
They feel a little dream teamy to me.
Yeah, they're saying Aaron Rodgers can be our savior, right? That sounds like Bo Wolf before he goes to bed at night, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's number 7. Have the if Zack Baun signs elsewhere option ready to go in free agency, and that option should be Azeez Ojulari. So what's interesting here is the Eagles did not need to break glass, right? They did not need to worry about Zack Baun leaving, and they were still able to get the player that I said they should get, and that's Azeez Ojulari. I'll chime in first here. I thought this was a really good move, getting Ojulari. I thought they got a steal in terms of the price. I think that he's attracted to me. Had 22 sacks in 4 seasons. He had a sack on 3.1% of his rushes last season, and a hit on 4.7% of his rushes. So yeah, I'm on board with bringing in Azeez Ojulari.
Let's say Azeez stays healthy for most this year, which has not always been the case for him. What do you think is the ideal number or the percentage of snaps for him to play?
Good question. 38%.
38. Okay.
Yes.
That's they didn't really have that. It's probably a little more than it's probably like the BG level from last year. Now BG was playing a little bit more than that, and then tailed off. But you think more as kind of a situational pass rusher? Yeah,
that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Look, I'm excited for him. I feel like you mentioned him in this piece, so I was excited when they actually did sign him because I was like, this guy has been productive when healthy. And then I feel like we just haven't talked about him a lot in the offseason. So I hope to get some Azeez buzz going in late July, early August here. But yeah, definitely an important piece because they don't have really those proven pass rushers that they've had in past years. I mean, Nolan Smith is proven at this point. I think when you play as well as he has, as long as he can recover from his offseason surgery, I think he's proven at this point. But outside of him,
number 8's a spicy one here. Explore the Dallas Goedert trade market and renegotiate the contract if a market doesn't develop. They explored the Dallas Goedert trade, a trade market, and I think that it wasn't. There was some interest, then the interest waned, then the interest reemerged, and so they renegotiated the contract. When I wouldn't say if the market didn't develop, I think another factor is they didn't draft a tight end, and Goedert was clearly the best direction to go. What did you make of this one here?
I mean, it was exactly like you said. Now it was a little weird because you have I'll spoil one. We're gonna go out of order a little bit. Might be a leak going on in here now.
Oh,
just hope it doesn't.
Be careful of your computer.
It doesn't rain on my head here. We'll see, Tyler. I mean, I saw one drop, so we'll see how it goes.
It's either condensation or a leak. We're hoping condensation, right? That's it's the wonderful thing about our studio is that when it's really hot outside, there's condensation, and when it's really rainy outside, there's a leak. So
It's both right now.
you can always rely on water getting into the studio, some variety, which is a good thing when you have lights, cameras, computers, clocks, and humans.
Sure. So no, this is exactly back to Dallas Goedert. This is exactly how it went. I mean, you had another point in here though where the Eagles should draft a tight end, consider drafting a tight end. And that was something that we talked about a lot heading into the draft. So after they didn't draft a tight end, that's when I thought this got dicey, right?
Yeah.
Because when you said, like you mentioned, this is going to be a tough decision. They didn't have an immediate succession plan. And frankly, even drafting a tight end in the third round, that's not the same type of succession plan that they've had over the years. They've usually had a player that has been a top draft pick or somebody who has proven that they are going to be, going to be good and have learned kind of under the older player. That's not what happened here. It was a point of contention for me. I think we had an argument about this at one point, but ultimately they did bring Dallas Goedert back at the renegotiated number. And I'm happy.
You're a true professional, by the way, because Tyler was just here wiping the ceiling.
Well, Tyler's a true professional.
Yeah, Tyler too. I'm saying,
What a moment.
The audience would not have known that literally a foot and a half in front of you was Tyler holding up this broom to the ceiling, and you're rattling off Dallas Goedert tight end history.
Sure.
Very well done. Let's go to number 9 here, and look, I'm wrong. Guilty as charged.
Bonk.
But you know what? When sometimes you fall in love and you never fall out of love. Number 9, find out if Kyle Pitts is available. Otherwise, sign a tight end to a 1-year deal with Tommy Tremble as the target. So let's just disregard Tommy Tremble. And let's say, find out if Kyle Pitts is available. Do you think at any point this offseason, Howie Roseman wanted to find out if Kyle Pitts is available?
I feel like he knew if Kyle Pitts was available. How he
Yeah.
works the phones, that's what his thing is. He monitors the whole
Yes.
league. He knows what is being the information that's being passed. That's apparently what people say.
Yeah, if I were a GM, like my first order of business would be to give a great press conference. Would be to call every reporter by their name, right? Say here's my number. Call me anytime. Text me anytime. Then my second order of business would be to call the Atlanta Falcons and try to try to acquire Kyle Pitts. Keep buying Kyle Pitts stock. We don't give financial advice on this show, other than some of our advertisements, perhaps. But find out if buy Kyle Pitts stock at some point. It's going to hit. I feel strongly about that.
Look, I am always supportive of the Philadelphia Catholic League. So you are the Kyle Pitts guy, but I am, like when Thomas Sorber got drafted last week, I said, that's great. That's great for the brand. He's not available. What do you think? You think Penix is gonna have a safety blanket in Kyle Pitts?
I actually think it's going to come up with his next team.
Okay.
I think, maybe not this year, but buy the stock now to have it, and then next year,
Sure.
it'll start to pay. Archbishop Wood. How did you play against Archbishop Wood in high school?
Didn't play him because the league was different at that time.
Oh, okay.
It was Catholic League North and Catholic League South
okay.
at that time. Now they play each other. So never got to play against them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number 10, sign a hybrid linebacker / edge rusher with Baron Browning as a target. So the Eagles signed Josh Uche as an edge rusher. Now, he's not a hybrid linebacker, okay, although perhaps he could be used in that way. Baron Browning got more than I expected him to get. Jonathan Gannon wanted to bring him back. I guess Gannon and I have the same taste in edge rushers. But nonetheless, do you think the Eagles did enough at edge rusher this offseason?
Well, you said sign one, and I think the type of the player that they really hit in this type of player is their first round draft pick.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. Well said.
Yeah. So, I mean, did they do enough? We'll see. If Jahad Campbell has even a little bit of juice at edge rusher, I think that goes a long way. Now, I think from all reports and what Vic Fangio said, they're going to start him at linebacker whenever he's healthy. There is a lot of projection there. It doesn't seem like he's even going to get on the field in terms of scrimmaging and learning the position in terms of reps, because I think Fangio, I trust him on all things practice now after everything that happened last year.
Yeah.
And when he was talking about Sidney Brown, he was like, yeah, you know, he was here last year, but he didn't get a lot of those reps because he was hurt early on. So Jahad Campbell, there's a little bit of projection here because he's going to get a late start. Now, look, we've seen it work. We saw it work last year. Cooper DeJean got a very late start last year, and it turned out okay. So, yeah, I don't know if they did enough at edge rusher, but there are some decent dart throws here in Ojulari. In Campbell, I think he's part of the dart throw. In Uche as well. I know he's been very unproductive, except for that one season when he was extremely productive. But you know, you're probably going to need at least one of those guys to
sign a versatile defensive lineman who was cut elsewhere. So this is number 11 with Draymond Jones as a potential target. So the Eagles did not sign a versatile defensive lineman during free agency, which I think is a mistake. Now they did draft, and we'll get to the D-lineman that they drafted. But I wonder if the Eagles did enough on their defensive line this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, they lost 2 starters from that spot, and that might be a situation where we're looking at next year's draft when they have all of these picks, all of these comp picks, and that will be a major area of need. You know, so I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to need more from Jordan Davis this year, and they're paying him with the option. I know we're going to get to that. Jumping ahead there, but yeah, I think that is a worry. I mean, it's the way I put it after the free agency and draft period is it's very odd for a team to have one of the greatest pass rushing and defensive line performances in a Super Bowl ever. I mean, they did it with just four pass rushers the whole game, completely dominated the Kansas City Chiefs. And then 3 or 4 months later, I think it's probably the biggest question mark on the team is that defensive line, but it's the way it is.
Well said. So number 12 here, sign a versatile offensive lineman who was cut elsewhere, especially if Jonah Jackson becomes available. Jonah Jackson did become available. He was way out of the Eagles' price range. Yeah. And the Eagles did sign a versatile offensive lineman, and that's Matt Pryor. So as we look at this, do you think that Matt Pryor's going to... Now, I don't want to put you on the spot. Like, I don't know how much Matt Pryor work he did in prepping for the show, but you know, the Eagles have young backups on their offensive line, and the Eagles brought in Pryor and Kendall Lamb to kind of give them some veteran presences. Were you okay with that?
I'm okay with it because I trust Jeff Stoutland and Matt Pryor. Sure. You know, it does strike me a little bit of no new ideas in bringing him back. I do think I'm a little worried about the offensive line depth. Yeah, I think that's been an underrated strength of the Eagles, and that, you know, when they plug somebody like Tyler Steen, and he wasn't perfect. We talk about, you know, how he had some struggles, but he was serviceable. The offense could still function at a high level. Saquon could still run the ball at a very high level. That is a luxury that not a lot of other teams have. And I am a little bit worried of, you know, like the few games that somebody misses on the offensive line. Hopefully it's just that. Do they have the backup pieces to fit in there? Like, you know, especially after what we saw in the spring from Kenyon Green. Doesn't seem like
you're right.
He's in the same plans that maybe we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, this is going to be a big summer for Jeff Stoutland. And by the way, if you want to know more about Jeff Stoutland, go to our YouTube channel. Which if you're listening, go to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this at the end of the show, scroll back through our YouTube channel. Find our show last Thursday. I think it was one of the best shows we've done on the PHLY Eagles show when we kind of honored Jeff Stoutland's career. Allison Stoutland might have been the best guest we've ever landed on this show. So make sure you check that out. Let's knock out 2 more before the break here. Number 13, trade Kenny Pickett and turn the number 2 job to Tanner McKee.
Ding, ding, ding.
I hit on this one. This one wasn't hard to predict, but was this the right move for the Eagles? Is Tanner McKee ready to be the backup quarterback?
Is he ready to be the number 1 quarterback? Sorry, I'm sitting in the seat. The power of Bo.
Sure.
Got in there. You know, he absolutely is ready to be the number 2 quarterback. I do worry a little bit when I talk as highly about Tanner McKee as I do. You hear people say everybody thinks their backup quarterback is, you know, the 20th best starting quarterback. I don't know, man. Tanner McKee can sling it. So I think he is certainly ready to be the number 2 quarterback. I think we saw last year that, you know, the offense probably functioned a little bit better, both in the preseason and then even in that Dallas game and even in the Giants game afterwards with Tanner McKee in there. Kenny Pickett, very happy for him that he got to start the division clinching game, the hometown guy But yeah, I think sending him to Cleveland, where I've read some stuff that he might actually be their starting quarterback this year, and their crazy quarterback room that they have. But also move over to Tanner McKee. Yeah, I think he's earned that at least.
If I were in New Orleans right now, after going to Giacomo's, I would call Cleveland and try to get Kenny Pickett to be the starting quarterback. Number 14 here.
Wasn't it Is it
Giacomo's?
I thought it was Gianni's.
Well, no, we're talking about different restaurants.
Oh, okay.
Giacomo's is my favorite restaurant in New Orleans.
In New Orleans?
Without compare.
And Gianni's is in Neptune, New Jersey. It's your favorite restaurant?
Ocean, New Jersey.
Okay.
Ocean, New Jersey, the chicken vodka wrap.
Have you ever thought of maybe we get a food app for you, where you kind of review different restaurants, the places in food cities?
Look,
offer your thoughts.
Anyone who is, and people have already done this, if you're going to a city and you want to know where I recommend, DM me on X, on Instagram. No, the problem with X, I don't know if you're having this or not. There's a lot of spam that's getting into my DMs now. It's getting hard to kind of filter out the spam and the legit ones.
Oh, see, my DMs are not open for that reason. But you're getting a lot of spam.
A lot of spam. This started like a few months ago, and it's been problematic because I try to respond to everybody. But Instagram DMs, you can Z_Berman. Make sure you hit me up there. So number 14 here before the break. Actually, no, let's after here. This is what we call a tease in the business. Okay, find out if the Eagles should have turned the job over to Kelee Ringo, or if they should have brought back a key player from last year's Super Bowl team after this break. Let me tell everybody today, on Canada Day, on Bobby Bonilla Day, this wonderful day that we have here on July 1st, about our good friends at Shady Rays. I have a new pair of sunglasses that I purchased from Shady Rays using promo code PHLY, right? They didn't send me a free pair. I used the promo code to get this. This is an outstanding pair of sunglasses. And so I'm not just reading an advertisement for you. I'm telling you, the best thing that I can say is I use Shady Rays. I wear Shady Rays. These shades were so versatile that I went on a water slide with my son on our vacation, and I wore the shades on the water slide. It was perfect. You know that moment though, the one you realize that you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at the gas station 3 states away. Well, I haven't been there where I've left it at the gas station 3 states away, but I've been there where I've left him in the car or somewhere. And the great thing about Shady Rays is they changed the game. These sunglasses are made for real life, seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Monarch Money. Guys, look, we all have a tough time tracking where our money is going. With all of the subscriptions and all of the online shopping that we do, there are a lot of blind spots in a lot of people's personal finances, and they can be messy and confusing. That's why you get Monarch Money. It acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listener. Guys, and tracking spending is important. I mean, I have all of these crazy subscriptions that, I don't know. Like, did I have that? Tyler mentioned PlayStation. I mean, I had a PlayStation subscription for way too long. I wasn't even using it anymore. And Monarch Money will be able to track that for you so you can shut it down and you can get back on track. So start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch makes managing money very simple, even for busy lives. With all of your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Track your spendings, savings, and investments effortlessly so you can focus what matters most, and that is making your biggest life goals a reality. Monarch Money, it is the finance tool that people actually love. It was named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 and is the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 5-star reviews. So guys, get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money and use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
Let's keep rolling on here, and I mentioned the cornerback situation. 14, re-sign Isiah Rodgers to compete with Keely Ringo. Now I was wrong on Isiah Rodgers on his value. I thought it was gonna be 1 year, $2.5 million. I used Isaiah Oliver as a comp. He was up around what, 6.5, 7 million, or so he went higher than I anticipated there on the open market. Were you okay with letting Isiah Rodgers leave given the contract, or would you have pushed harder to have a little more certainty at the number 2 cornerback spot?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, I thought Isiah Rodgers was the perfect level of player to push Keely Ringo. I mean, do you think this says more about Isiah Rodgers' market or confidence in Keely Ringo that he's going to win that job?
Yeah, by the way, it was a 2-year, $11 million deal with value of $15 million, with maximum value of 15. Yeah, I think this has a little bit to do with both, right? I think that they were interested in Isiah Rodgers, but not at that number. And I don't think they wanted to. If you make that type of financial commitment to Isiah Rodgers, you're essentially blocking Keely. You're blocking Keely Ringo, and I don't think they wanted to block Keely Ringo. I thought if you signed Isiah Rodgers in that $2.5 million range, similar to what they did with Adoree Jackson, right? Adoree Jackson's contract was around, it wasn't a big deal. And it's the type of thing that, all right, if Keely struggles, you have that veteran you can put in there, but you're not making that financial commitment to block him. So I would have tried to sign Isiah Rodgers, but given what that contract is, sometimes a person wants to stay, but the money's too good somewhere else, right?
Yeah. And Isiah Rodgers, I got to say, a perfect Eagles character arc. Comes in, he has the gambling suspension, so everybody's paying attention to him. He comes in as a backup with like pretty low expectations, but actually he exceeds them in his first year. Gets some key moments. There was the deflected pick against Cincinnati that was a great play that I believe CJGJ got. Even got some time in the Rams playoff game as well. Gets the Super Bowl tattoo and then leaves a nice little stretch for Isiah Rodgers.
Well said. Number 15 here, throw Brandon Graham a retirement party. This was obvious. Brandon Graham had a great retirement speech. Brandon Graham, an all-time Eagle, one of my favorite players to cover, and just I think it's fair to say an impressive human being as well. So Brandon Graham deserved that retirement party, and you can watch our show back in March when Brandon Graham had his retirement for more Brandon Graham insight and memories. Let's go to 16 here. Decline Jordan Davis' 5th-year option, but talk to him about a contract extension that reduces his number. Nah, got this one way off. The Eagles exercised the 5th-year option, and it actually turned into one of Bo's favorite announcements on social media when the Eagles put Jordan Davis running. Exercise. They had to make sure that announcement was out there, right? But yeah, I'm curious about the path. What did you think of the 5th-year options?
I think there was logic in what you suggested.
Yeah.
In that Jordan Davis has not proven that he's worth that $13 million option yet. He's certainly provided value to the Eagles last year in terms of being a run stuffer, but I do think you have to divorce the fact that he's a first-round pick at this point, and he's not really shown that he is that level of player. So I wasn't crazy about it, frankly. I think what you said had a lot of merit to it, but I don't know the exact situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Jordan Davis's appetite for, for a new deal. That was not intentional. For I
think he's going to eat this year. By the way.
Well done, Rich. For a new deal would have been, but I think the Eagles looked at this and said, you know what, if they didn't exercise this option, if they declined the option, Jordan Davis has a big year. That's a $20 million a year player in the free agent market, right? So it's better to gamble on that 5th-year option. I understand why they did it. I would have tried to sign a contract extension. I do think he's going to be a good player for them.
It's a huge year for Jordan Davis. I mean, in terms of like subplots within the Eagles, in terms of like which players have the most at stake this year, this could go either way.
Yeah.
That could look bad, and we could say, man, he probably should have taken a longer term extension. Or if it works out, there was risk for the Eagles as well. Like you said, he could be a $20 million player if he breaks out.
Yeah, well done. Or I should say, well said. 17, stay nimble for a trade back for trade back opportunities at number 32, and draft an edge rusher with the first round pick, unless it's traded for Garrett.
They kind of did that.
Did they draft an edge rusher with the first round pick? That's why were they? Now I know they were nimble with trade back opportunities. Had Campbell not been there, maybe they would have traded back. But do I get credit for the edge rusher here? That, by the way, is Zack Baun, who did a fantastic job with our basketball coverage, our NBA draft coverage.
Very, very intense game of horse going on out there right now. I think you do get credit. And I think there are no perfect solutions in terms of sometimes when you're picking 32, maybe there's not an edge rusher that you like in that spot.
Yeah.
And so to get a linebacker who, we'll see if he works out. He has to work out. He has to stay healthy, but also has a degree of versatility, we think. I'm on board at least with the process with that pick. So I'm going to give you credit for it.
Thank you.
And the Eagles credit for it.
Tyler says, any concern with Jordan Davis going from 45% of the defensive snaps in 2024 to 37% in 2025? It's a valid question. Changing coordinator. They were not really using him on passing downs last year, although you saw that start to change later in the season. So, no, I wouldn't be concerned about that. He is in better shape now, but this is going to be a story to monitor as well.
He fell off a cliff in 23. After he chased down Josh Allen in that Bills game, I feel like he did nothing the rest of the year.
18, draft an offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds. Man, was I off on this one. I stand by this. I think my plan would have been better than Howie's here. Yeah, I think they need to get young, high level off. I'm still thinking, all right, who's your right tackle of the future? Who's your right guard of the future? Maybe it's a little too soon to think about that, but I would have wondered, was there an O-lineman you could have taken in those first 64 picks?
Well, that's 2 years in a row. We thought they were going to go offensive line because that's what they do. They build on the trenches and they've replenished the offensive line, and that's where they are good. You can't really argue with what they did in 24 in terms of the players they took in the first 2 rounds. Those guys look like, A, they're going to be pretty good for the future and are already awesome, B, and helped you win a Super Bowl, in fact. But, yeah, it's certainly a departure from how the Eagles have operated. Look, I mean, you can't draft every position high.
Exactly.
Right? So
and you don't know how the board's going to fall. So
you do have to make decisions. But I agree with you that it is very un-Eagles-like to have this bit of uncertainty on the offensive line, which is probably more certainty than most teams have on the offensive line. But with an older player and Lane Johnson especially, a little bit of uncertainty there.
So if Howie's sitting, I don't think he's in his office right now. Maybe he just golfed. Maybe he's at the pool and he's watching our show. And he says, wait a second, Zach. Wait a second. You did say that, but you also said Texas's Cameron Williams is a player to watch at the end of round 2. And I drafted him in round 6. So maybe you should give me a little more credit. Howie, I was off on that valuation, that's for sure. Number 19. Got this one. Drafted defensive tackle in the first 4 rounds. Ty Williams.
That was oddly specific, and you snuck it in.
Yes, first 4 rounds. That was very, So, by the way, thank you, Tyler. Between picks 31 and 64, 4 tackles and 1 guard were drafted. I actually think the Eagles, another guy that I mentioned, Charles Grant, I think the Eagles would have liked him in the 3rd round, but there were some trades there. Drafted defensive tackle in the first 4 rounds. Ty Robinson fits that bill. What do you think of that move?
Certainly some interesting highlights, certainly some interesting off the field stuff with him in terms of, Nebraska and everything. I'm for it. Do you expect Ty Robinson to play a big role for these guys this year?
I think Ty Robinson's a rotational D-lineman for them. I mentioned how they should draft that veteran D-lineman. I think Ty Robinson actually fits that role for them.
Yeah. So, look, he's a 4th round pick, so, I don't want to set expectations too high for him, but it seems like he certainly has some athletic tools.
Number 20, and I stand by this one as well, although the board didn't fall the way they wanted. Draft a tight end. The Eagles have only drafted one tight end since Dallas Goedert in 2018, and that was Grant Calcaterra in 2022, and that still has not happened. So were you okay with the Eagles bypassing this position?
I'm okay with it now because Dallas Goedert is coming back, but like even more than the offensive line, they are kicking the can down the road here, and it's just like, where is the succession plan? So I guess my hope is that with all these comp picks, that the mid-round tight end class next year is deep. Maybe take a couple dart throws at that spot because they don't really have a lot once Dallas Goedert leaves.
21. Try to trade Bryce Huff after June 1st. If not, take the James Bradbury approach.
Ding, ding, ding.
Boom, I hit that one. I don't think that one was too hard to predict, although Bo did think Bryce Huff was going to be back on the team based on, what's that game? Not Flu World Order.
Yeah, Flu World Order.
Sorry.
Right?
Is it Flu World Order?
I think so.
Thank you. Sorry. The game when we pick which players are most likely to be back. That's what I call it. Yeah, this is one that the Eagles know they missed on Huff last year. They cut their losses. I would watch out for Huff in San Francisco. I'm curious about this one here. 22. Turn the number 2 running back to Will Shipley. So I don't know if it's going to be A.J. Dillon or Will Shipley. They did let Kenny Gainwell leave. What do you think of the Eagles running back situation?
I think it's fine. Yeah. Will Shipley is the nominal number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think you hit this one. I mean, A.J. Dillon, maybe he takes some of the carries, but he is not a sure thing. Didn't play football last year. So I think calling Will Shipley the number 2 running back right now is fair. And if he doesn't get it, then whatever. They turn the job over to him and he lost.
Yeah. 23. Be aggressive filling the roster with post-draft free agents. And this is one where the Eagles were actually more aggressive right before the draft. They signed your Terrace Marshalls of the world and guys like that. Kendall Lamb to fill the depth chart there. I'm curious to see if they add players during free agency. Zach Cunningham signed in August 2023. So, Steven Nelson signed in July 2021. So, in theory, there's still time for this to occur.
Steven Nelson, man. I
Remember
haven't thought
that
about
one?
him in a while.
Yeah. Nice guy. I enjoyed the Steven Nelson experience. I'm glad we get 24 in before overtime because I teased it on the top of the show. Sign either C.J. Gardner-Johnson or Reed Blankenship to a contract extension.
This is the major departure.
And by the way, when I say that's the Eagles signed no contract extension, not PHLY, although, we really enjoy Reed Blankenship on the exciting mics, right? That joke failed. Man, I was trying to make an exciting mics reference and it didn't work.
I didn't think it was a joke. I thought it was, just keep it moving. Man. Come on. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. But.
So I was actually right here in this sense. That sounds like a pompous thing to say. I thought the Eagles would need to choose between one of these safeties. I didn't think they could go into the year with. I said I would have given Gardner-Johnson a contract extension. I figured Gardner-Johnson's contract was going to be something they had to address, and they addressed it by trading him to Houston. What did you make of how the Eagles approached the safety spot this offseason?
This was the most surprising of the offseason, just because it didn't seem like they had to make this move. Now, I mean, I think the way they explained it is that they have a lot of super expensive contracts coming down the pike here, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Bo has done a good job of pointing out, the Eagles have been very expensive on offense for a long time. That might flip pretty soon here because they have a lot of excellent defensive players on rookie contracts. So I understand that. Would I feel better about the 25 Eagles if CJGJ was on the team? Yeah, I would. But I also understand the move, with the way they explained it. But yeah, it was a little surprising to me.
Do you think that they're going to miss his competitive zeal?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was how he got sold. Where they needed an irritant. They needed somebody who was that type of competitor who got under opponent's skin. Sometimes got under his own teammates' skin in terms of just that type of player. Do they have that personality on the team? Yeah, I mean, there were times where CJGJ last year, like he got exposed a little bit in coverage at times in the middle of the season, but he's a very good player. I think he's going to be good for Houston, and I hope it's not because of what they said, like maybe he was too much of a pain in the butt or whatever, but if they need the money moving forward, as long as you're paying Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell and do you think? I guess I'm running down the names of the younger players. Do you think a Reed Blankenship extension is coming at some point? Maybe not.
I was about to ask you that. Yeah, that's the move I would watch, and we will be talking more about a Reed Blankenship contract extension in overtime. Was I 9 seconds too early?
You're fine.
Okay. I never know with this clock here. So yeah, I would try to sign Reed Blankenship to a contract extension. I think you can sign him to a reasonable one. I think he's a key player for the Eagles, especially behind the scenes. He's respected in that locker room. You heard Darius Slay say he's like the leader in that secondary. He's a homegrown player. I wouldn't pay him like top of the league money or near there. And the Eagles have kind of stayed away from that middle class of safeties. And really maybe Mukuba and Sidney Brown both look good, and the Eagles are like, all right, we don't need to pay Reed Blankenship, but I would, I would try to keep Reed Blankenship.
I would too, but it's like you said, they really are moving away from that middle class of contracts, and I think Reed has probably deserved an extension close to the middle class of safeties.
Yeah, I mean.
Totally competent player back there.
Maybe he'll break it on the exciting mics.
Absolutely.
Number 25, trade a 2026 mid-round pick for a veteran. The Eagles did this last year during the preseason when they acquired Jahan Dotson. I can see Howie Roseman doing the same thing. Howie Roseman's flush with draft picks next season. He's loaded with 2026 picks. They could keep trading picks back, right? You can just, people say they have too many picks. Well, then you just trade a 26 pick for a 27 pick, right? It's kind of like in Madden or 2K or any, whatever your video game of choice is. Except baseball, they don't trade picks in baseball. They got to get on that, Tyler. You got to start. Baseball needs to allow draft picks to be traded, other than the competitive balance.
Now that there's only 10 rounds, it makes sense. Back in the day when there was 804 rounds, it'd be like, I'll trade you my 37th round pick. People are like, I don't care.
Exactly.
Now it makes a little bit more sense with 10 rounds.
Yeah, it'll make the draft more fun to watch. If the Rockies want to ensure they get Ethan Holiday, they can swap 4 and 1. And, maybe give a second round pick in there. I don't know the draft value trade chart in baseball. Nonetheless, a 2026 mid round pick. I think this could happen. If the Eagles were to do it, what position do you think they would address?
Edge rusher.
Well done. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, maybe offensive line if somebody gets hurt early on in the year. But those would be the two positions. It's a pretty good roster. I think most people understand that. But yeah, I think in terms of what Howie has done in the past and also just their current needs is that, I don't know if this edge rusher room is enough. So that would be the spot. And I think there's a good chance that happens if we count training camp and the preseason as part of the offseason.
So what I did not predict would occur is a change at long snapper. I could have made this a 26-step plan and address the long snapper situation. That was not front of mind for me. But for the most part here, I mean, they really weren't and then the Saquon Barkley contract extension, that's probably one I should have put on there as well. That's a notable one. But how do you view this offseason overall? Do you think this was just Howie holding serve? He's got these young players, right? As he likes to say, maintain this roster that they have. They still have, in my view, the best roster in the NFL. Or do you view it like he should have done more?
No, I think this was very much a defensive. Like they were on offense last offseason in terms of signing Saquon and CJGJ, and as it turned out, Zack Baun as well, and Devin White. But they were very active on day one of free agency, making a lot of those signings. This year, they were clearly on defense. This was clearly a take your medicine type of offseason with future years in mind, and that they have a lot of these young players who are going to cost a lot of money. So I got to say, man, in terms of a take your medicine type of offseason, this wasn't that painful to me. Yeah. And especially when you factor in that they play the comp pick game very well. I'm not going to it is such an Eagles fan thing to go nuts about the comp pick formula and, we have a third and a fourth and a fifth in next year's draft. And that's great. But I think they played that pretty well. And I thought the guy that they really needed to resign was Zack Baun. and that would have been a major question mark. The CJGJ move, that's the other one where it's like, yeah, that could go bad. If Sidney Brown's not ready, if Drew Makuba is who knows if either of those guys are really any good, that could also backfire. So there are things that could backfire for them. But when you told me at the beginning of this offseason, when they were staring at, you saw the top 100 free agent charts and they had a lot of guys in the top 20, I think they did pretty well.
If you were grading this article, what would you give it?
Oh, A+.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, even when you were wrong, you gave yourself,
Okay.
you gave a reasoned point of view.
Sure.
Absolutely. Amazing article.
Well, you can read that on allphly.com, and you can make sure you read Rich Hofmann's newsletter every day for free in your inbox. It is, I don't want to say it's how I start the morning because I'm up before it comes, but it's the highlight of my morning. Rich is a terrific writer and podcaster, but great newsletter writer in particular. Gets, it's fun, it's funny. It has everything you need to know in there. So make sure you're reading Rich. Rich, this was fun.
This was fun, man.
Tomorrow I will be back with Fran. I believe we'll be virtual. I think Fran needs to be virtual, so we'll be over StreamYard, and it's gonna be. I think we're doing a midweek mailbag. So Here's a call right now. If you are a diehard,
hope somebody's not listening to
if you're a diehard, go into the Discord and put your questions in. If you're watching the show or you're watching the show back, go into the YouTube comments and put your questions in. I will solicit questions on social media, but I will also say that the priority will go to the Discord and to the YouTube comments. So please do that. Until then.
Oh, wait. Is there a super chat?
Oh, is there a super chat? Yes, thank you. Look at you. You're a pro. Super chat from Poor Jam. Still looking for Osprey date info. Some of us have to request time off work and book flights. Bo doesn't want to give out his email address on the show either. So for someone who exposes everything in my life, he likes to be private. Bo will handle the Osprey stuff, but I think there might be hints kind of interspersed in every episode that we have in terms of when the Ospreys might be. So just be cognizant. Look for hints if you're watching on YouTube. If you're an audio listener, I don't know what to tell you there. I appreciate you listening. But yeah, the Ospreys will be coming this summer, and we are all excited for that date. Before the Ospreys, though, is tomorrow's show. And until then, happy Canada Day. Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Rich. Thank you to Tyler. Thank you to everyone watching at home. As Bo would say, as always, we love you. As I would say, we'll do better tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
We all silly like the mayor.